What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into the Country Roads Webcast. As always, I'm Jorden Cruz, and before I get into this video, just want to give you guys a quick reminder. If you would do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button, giving us a like on this video will really help not only its performance, but future videos performances here on the channel as well. And if you're a West Virginia fan and you haven't already, be sure hit that subscribe button. Helps us and it helps you, as it helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, let's get into it. All right, and as we get into it, obviously the topic at hand yet again, EA Sports College Football in this video here on the Country Roads Webcast. Super excited for this game's release. Like I've said last time, I'm covering it on my other channel, JC's Pop Culture. Plenty of updates if you want to know more about the game itself. But here on the Country Roads Webcast, of course, I'll be covering WVU football's involvement in the game. We've had some players opt in. I want to eventually maybe compile a list of everyone from WVU that's opted in. I'm sure we're going to get the full 85 scholarship players on the roster. That's what EA Sports has said will happen for each major university, so West Virginia will have that. Obviously, WVU is going to be in the game, Milan Puskar Stadium, a lot of our traditions. I'll talk more about this down the line, but I thought for now it'd be fun, to project the top 5 highest rated offensive players for West Virginia. That's what we're going to do in this video. I'll do a video on the top 5 highest defensive players as well here in the near future, but it's going to be the first time we're ever having a college football game where we're going to get a ratings reveal, because we're going to have the real players on the game. It's not going to be quarterback number 6 on there. It's going to actually be Garrett Green. So I thought it would be fun to try and predict some of those overall ratings for West Virginia players and come up with a top 5 for each side of the football. So that's what I've done here, accompanied by my predicted overall I think that they could have in the game right here, just guessing this far out. So just my opinion, but I would love to hear yours. So if you watch this and you enjoy it, be sure hit the thumbs up button, but also let me know your thoughts there in the comments. I always appreciate those interactions here on the Country Roads Webcast. They really help to grow the channel. So before I get into my top 5 highest projected offensive players, how about some honorable mentions? I got 5 names there as well. Some of these guys you might have thought you would see on the list, and when they didn't pop up, I didn't want there to be any questions. So we'll run through some of my honorable mentions now. The closest one that was nearly number 5 on this list, I went back and forth, was Cole Taylor. I think he'll be about a 79 overall, but he could crack the 80s. I think Traylon Ray will be West Virginia's highest overall receiver. I got him projected around a 78. And then I think Hudson Clement will be close there, 76. Gallagher, about a 75. And then I think West Virginia will have some offensive linemen close to the 80s. I think Thomas Remek will be one of them. I wouldn't rule out Nick Malone being pretty highly rated, and the new transfer we got in, Xavier Bosley from Jacksonville State as well, potentially being near an 80 overall as well. But having said that, let's get into my top 5 highest overall players that I think will be represented on EA Sports College Football 25 for WVU, beginning, of course, at number 5. And I went with Brandon Yates. I know this one might surprise some people, but I think that he's going to kind of be the veteran of the line now. He's obviously probably expected to take over as the team's starting center, as he did in the bowl game. West Virginia did a good job winning that football game and winning it, pretty handily as well. And obviously he'll have now a whole offseason to prepare in that role and to get ready for it. And I think that Matt Moore, the offensive line coach at West Virginia, has shown that he's been able to do great things with West Virginia's offensive line and develop offensive linemen over time. And I think Brandon Yates will be another case there. And I think on the game, they'll have him around an 80 overall because of that this offseason. He'll probably get some hype from the coaching staff and those around the program. And I think EA Sports will lean into that. And I think they'll want to have a West Virginia offensive lineman in the top 5 highest rated offensive players on the team, because we know the offensive line is a key cog in West Virginia's attack. So I think that Brandon Yates might crack the 80s, and I got him at an 80 overall there, coming in at number 5. And speaking of that rushing attack, obviously you're going to see some familiar faces from that here in this top 5, and none other than C.J. Donaldson, West Virginia's running back. I've got here at number 4. I think he'll be around an 83 overall. That's my projection for him. I think he'll have a high break tackle rating, obviously, probably a good ball carrier vision rating and good strength. We know CJ's a strong runner, big guy, but he'll probably have, sneaky speed and pretty good acceleration, agility as well. So should be fun to play with. Obviously, West Virginia's rushing attack is going to be fun to use on the game. And I think one of the most exciting players to use on the game. He was ranked as such on social media throughout this offseason already when this game was first announced. My personal favorite player on the West Virginia roster, you guys know that follow the Country Roads Webcast, and that's Jaheim White. I think that he's the first West Virginia player in quite some time that kind of goes along with the West Virginia players of, yesteryear, kind of the glory days, if you will, the Noel Devine, Tavon Austin, Jock Sanders, Darius Renauds of the world, the short diminutive types that are quick quick twitch players with a ton of speed that can really take it the distance. And Jaheim White showed that right away in his true freshman season, having one of the best seasons of any true freshman in all of college football last year. And the hype is real now for him leading into his sophomore campaign, where it should be really impressive. West Virginia had 3 700-yard rushers on the season. Obviously, 2 of those were C.J. Donaldson and Jaheim White. And the kicker is they really didn't get a ton of a chance to, play together this season. They were both kind of used at different times. CJ was the running back primarily in the beginning part of the year, and then in the latter part of the year when Jaheim really came on, CJ wasn't fully healthy. So hopefully in 2024 it'll be fun to see these guys really running around together. I think they'll be close in overall rating. I got Jaheim just slightly edging him out with the 84 overall, but watch out for Jaheim White's speed and acceleration. Those should be very high on the game, making him a fun player to play with on College Football 25. And I mentioned 3 700-yard rushers for West Virginia last season. Obviously, the third of those, none other than Garrett Green. And yes, surprisingly, I have him as the number 2 rated player for West Virginia on this game. I flirted with putting him at number 1, but I do believe that he will crack the 90s at least. I think he'll be a 90 overall. I talked about this previously on a live stream. If you've seen some of these graphics come out, I'll show Garrett Green's here on the screen that he put out on his Instagram. And you see it's a paid partnership. You see him announcing, hashtag EA Athlete. All of the players that have put these out are really high-profile players in college football. You've seen them from, Denzel Burke, some of the bigger names at Ohio State, Alabama, programs like that, blue blood schools. And when the NIL deals were announced for this football game, it was accompanied by an announcement stating that there would be around, 100 or so college football players that EA felt were premier players that would get, additional promotion, additional marketing, and of course get additional NIL money because of that. And I do believe that some of these players that were presented these graphics by EA to put out throughout that time are some of those players. And lucky for West Virginia, Garrett Green was one of those. So I think that goes to show that EA Sports is really going to highly regard him on this video game. So I expect him to be in the 90 overall rating, high throw power probably, obviously going to have good speed for a quarterback, really good acceleration. And I think West Virginia is just going to be a ton of fun to play with on this game. Think back in the day when people were fighting to play with West Virginia because we had Pat White and Steve Slayton. I think they're going to be doing that again with our, option tendencies on offense, the speed that we have across the board with some of the receivers I mentioned in honorable mentions as well to go along with the rushing threat that will be fun to use an option attack potentially with, C.J. Donaldson, Jaheim White, and of course, Garrett Green. And the number 1 West Virginia player that I think will be the highest rated offensively and maybe probably overall on the entire team, if I'm being honest, on EA Sports College Football 25, none other than offensive lineman Wyatt Milam. Had a phenomenal season in 2023, really setting the edge for West Virginia a lot on that left side when West Virginia ran that outside zone, which was one of their favorite plays. You probably noticed a lot they were running it to the left, and that's because Wyatt Milam, I know there was a game or two that he missed. West Virginia's run game, kind of took a step back a little bit on that, especially if you look on PFF when running to the left. And that just goes to show you how good Wyatt Milam was when West Virginia was running the football. But also, if you look at this stat here that I'll throw up on the screen from PFF College, who's given West Virginia a ton of love throughout the offseason. He did a great job in pass protection as well. They've got him ranked as one of the top 10 returning tackles in all of college football. I think obviously when EA Sports is looking to determine their initial ratings for this game, they're probably going to use some PFF ratings from last season. No one really graded out higher for West Virginia than Garrett Green or Wyatt Milam. So I think they'll be West Virginia's 2 highest graded players on the game. I've got Wyatt Milam projected around a 93 overall, potentially going into this game. So should be a lot of fun to play with West Virginia's offense. You see some of these ratings. Hopefully some of them come to fruition. And this is just kind of what I have. But like I said, that's just my opinion. Would love to hear your alls. Drop them in the comments there. Who would be your top 5 overall players for West Virginia in college football 25 on offense? I'll have the video coming on the defensive side tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. I'll project my top 5 highest rated overall defensive players for West Virginia potentially in EA Sports College Football 25. But how do you feel about the game? Are you going to pick it up, and are you excited to see West Virginia's ratings revealed by EA Sports? It's also pretty cool, and I want to mention that they'll be updating the ratings throughout the season. So if someone on West Virginia's offense, starts popping off that was unexpected, having a really big season, their ratings will obviously increase, and they may end up very highly rated by the time the season ends, just as well as Garrett Green may start the year, as a 90 overall, but if he balls out the way we think he could end up, who knows, 98 or maybe even the coveted 99 overall. You never know what could happen. I think it'll be a fun season for West Virginia in 2024 on the field, and if you're playing with them on the sticks, I think they'll be a really fun team to play with there as well with this potentially explosive offense. So those are my thoughts. Like I said, share yours in the comments. If you made it this far in the video, hitting the thumbs up button helps us a ton here on the Country Roads Webcast. Be on the lookout for my top 5 highest rated defensive player projection for EA Sports College Football coming out tomorrow. But as always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.